to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
Big Ten champions. Big Ten champs.
National champions, yes.
Oklahoma City bound the Oregon Ducks.
Awesome day to be a Duck, man.
Boom inside. Touchdown Oregon. He gets loose. Fires. Hit. Pops the three. Oh, yeah. It's all Oregon.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider.
It's about how to be a group of people that know how to love each other to the absolute fullest.
Pleasure, a joy to be with them each and every day. And I can't wait for the future.
It's just fun to be a part of a community that cares, that is passionate, and when we come together, powerful things can happen.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck athletics.
It is college football playoff game week.
Let's go.
Eugene, Oregon. Duck Insider here on a Monday. Ryan Milano and apparently Joey Mack with you as well.
Ryan?
Joey here in the studio walked in and sat down in the chair just before recording.
So I'm currently editing the Quack Minute from today's practice because the Ducks did work out today. A little different schedule. They did interviews today. Normally, there's no interviews until Monday night with Coach Lanning's press conference. Slightly different schedule. So we're editing the Quack Minute. It'll be on social media shortly. That's why I'm here.
With the abbreviated schedule, it means we'll get to hear from Coach Lanning along with Will Stein. We'll also get to hear some reactions from Coach Dana Altman and Kelly Graves after wins on the basketball court from both the men and the women this weekend. It's a big weekend around Eugene because it is college football playoff weekend. Saturday, 4:30 p.m., televised on TNT, True TV, HBO Max. We'll have our pregame on the Oregon Sports Network starting at 2:30 p.m., and you can start to feel the buzz a little bit, Joey, here around Eugene with the college football playoff right around the corner.
Yeah, last week was finals week, and the Ducks also had some time off, something Kenyon Sadiq said today he found really valuable. But because of finals week, it felt like a long buildup, and now it feels more like a standard game week around Eugene. And I expect a lot of moving parts, especially on Friday. Everything gets set up on Friday. Then the Ducks are the final college football playoff game coming up this weekend. The first round featuring the 4 games, 1 on Friday, then 3 on Saturday. I'm with you, though. I feel the buzz. I think that there are a lot of people that are excited for this. Look, it's historic. I realize that another home game means another home game. We know that. We know what that means. But let's put in context the history here. First time that Autzen Stadium has ever hosted a college football playoff game. Pretty special. Pretty cool. You can't take it for granted. Winning's hard. Can't take it for granted.
And it's really the first true win or go home game that Autzen's ever hosted as well. There was the Pac-12 championship, back in 2011?
The first one, at Autzen Stadium.
Oregon played against UCLA in that game. But this is really the first, all right, you have to win or your season is over at Autzen Stadium, and that's big. And you talk about the abbreviated timeline this week, where last week it was a lot of kind of sitting back and recuperating and getting ready for the game week that is this week. And because of that abbreviated timeline, we did get some All-Americans. The Walter Camp All-Americans announced over the weekend. The AP All-Americans announced earlier today. Oregon with a few All-Americans. 3 football players announced as Walter Camp All-Americans, including Emmanuel Pregnon, Kenyon Sadiq, and Dylan Thieneman, honored by the Walter Camp Association as All-Americans. And then today, this morning, 4 members of the Ducks program were named AP, Associated Press All-Americans. It was Emmanuel Pregnon on the first team. Kenyon Sadiq and Dylan Thieneman were named to the second team. And Ipani Pancho Lalaulu named to the third team. It's the most All-American selections Oregon has had in a single season. To have that many All-Americans probably means you have a pretty good team. Probably means you have a chance to play for something. Oregon has a chance to play for a lot. College football playoff coming up this Saturday at Autzen Stadium, 4:30 p.m. kickoff against James Madison. It's great to have All-Americans. It's great to have the opportunity to play in the college football playoff. Dan Lanning, excited about the opportunity, getting prepared, a little bit of a longer period between games, almost like a bye week in between. There weren't any games for Oregon last weekend. There weren't any games for Oregon really this weekend either. A bit of a longer period. How is Oregon dealing with it? Here's Coach Lanning, his thoughts on the matchup, previewing the James Madison game that's coming up on Saturday, college football playoff at Autzen Stadium.
All right, good first day of work. Hopping into JMU, obviously have done an exceptional job all year. You talk about one of the few teams that's top 10 offense, top 10 defense. You watch our offense; they create explosive plays all over the board. Their quarterback can run the ball. Their running back can run the ball. They extend it down the field. Defensively, they create a lot of issues, a lot of different looks, a ton of variety that we have to be able to practice and go through. But overall, really excited about the opportunity for our guys.
Talk about the challenges facing Tosh and Will. It's one thing to talk about them and what they're dealing with, but it's another thing to actually do it. How have you seen them kind of face these challenges over the past few weeks?
Yeah, they've handled the prep great, right? When you got two jobs and they're doing their job here at Oregon. A total level of focus and commitment on their part. There's a lot of guys in this building. They know that this has never been just about them, right? On either side of the ball, we have a lot of coaches involved in that prep, but ultimately they're handling it really well.
It's been like having both Gary and Dak back on the field, and just how close is Evan to potentially playing here in the playoffs, Dan?
Yeah, everybody's closer than they were yesterday. It's good seeing guys out there.
And I'm wondering, just a younger group going into this for the first time, kind of what have you seen and kind of what's been the messaging about just taking this one day at a time and all that?
I mean, you just said it. It's one day at a time. Your routine, you try to keep the same. It's a new group, but this group has experience. They've played a lot of games this year, and it isn't just another game. Right, it's different from that standpoint. Right, it's an elimination game, but these guys know what the prep looks like.
Curious what you guys maybe changed or what you kept the same from the process preparing for a playoff game last year, what you did with the extended break.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to hop into the details there, but we have a plan.
Coach, we talked about how special it was to play a playoff game here at Autzen, especially for the fans, but you got a couple local kids. Have you talked to the local players just about how special this is for them as well, especially for a player like Bryce who's ending his college career with a home playoff game?
Yeah, we talked about it back when we played here before, that this isn't our last opportunity to play on this field. And obviously guys like that are really excited. We had a senior day here, right? And a lot of those guys were wondering, is this going to be my last moment to get to play there? And we knew if we took care of business, there'd be another opportunity.
How has your team benefited from this time off? You said it'd be good for them to kind of get away from the program for a few days. How have you seen that kind of come to fruition?
Yeah, able to finish up strong academically, a chance for us to be able to do a reset as a coaching staff and evaluate what are we doing really well, what do we need to improve, what wrinkles can we add, and then just a continued growth opportunity for our players.
Can you take us into what Drew's involvement has been already just in terms of game preparation and planning, but then also in game calling and et cetera?
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of involvement. I mean, since the day we got here, Drew's been very strategic in all elements of our game plan, run game, pass game, included personnel changes. He's had a lot of that. But, every single offensive coach has been really, really involved in that.
Do you have any idea if there will be early enrollees from this past class that will join you throughout this week and as you go on through the bowl prep?
Yeah, it'll all start really for us in January.
What stands out about their quarterback and just kind of what he's able to do, especially with his legs?
Yeah, you said it. Like, he can win with his legs, but I think what he doesn't get enough credit for is the ability to connect on deep balls downfield. They're a team that has a great play action game, and they're able to hit shots, on post routes and able to attack you down the field vertically. But obviously he can run and creates an 11th hat.
You talked just on the bye weeks this week about how your team is able to add some wrinkles with your offensive and defensive schemes. With this time off, have you been able to kind of take advantage of that, being able to put install some new stuff so that way you're able to be a little bit different than maybe what JMU has seen on tape this season?
Yeah, I think we've challenged ourselves to do that throughout the season, where we always have new wrinkles, new opportunities. We'll see what comes up in this game.
What do you think it is, Dan, that over your time to now have 3 coordinators and Power 4 jobs, there's not too many coaches who can claim that? I think you and Kirby, maybe Dabo at times. What is it that you do that enables your coordinators to have that level of success already? It's one thing to have it on offense with the agency that Kenny and Will had, but for Taj now too. What are you doing to put these guys in a position to succeed?
Yeah, I don't think it's anything that I'm doing. I think we hire really good people that work extremely hard, and they realize at Oregon there's an opportunity to continue opportunities, and those guys reach their opportunities. So we hire really good people that work really hard at their job. There's clear direction of the expectations, and those guys do a great job of modeling what it should look like to get that opportunity and become a head coach. They've learned that. They've sat in that seat, and maybe it's a different seat, but there's a lot of open lines of communication that are going to allow them to have success.
AP All-Americans came out today. Obviously, you guys are not focused on individual goals, but you had 4 guys mentioned. That's not nothing. How encouraging is it to see those guys get those accolades, and what does it mean for your program that you're able to bring those guys in?
Yeah, I always think individual success is an attribute to the job that the whole team's done, and I think every one of those guys, I didn't see that who was awarded what, but we have a lot of guys that deserve recognition. It's great that people are recognizing what our players are doing, but I think every one of those guys would tell you any success that's coming their way, it's a derogative of our team's success.
Thoughts on how Trey has attacked the rehab process to get back in a place where he could help you guys?
Yeah, he's done a great job. And all these guys have been really eager. Again, it's about us protecting them from themselves at times, but have been really eager to get out there and do the work.
Similar to what I asked about Drew, but for Hampton, just what has Chris brought to not only reshaping and remodeling that room, but along with Rashad, obviously, in part of the preparation and the game calling and et cetera?
Yeah, I mean, every guy is in charge of individual pieces of the game plan, but obviously, Coach Hamp's done an outstanding job. I think our secondary unit's grown and gotten better every single year, and that's credit to Coach Hamp and Rashad and the job that they've done, Coach Wadood, and really just the entire defensive staff, but very involved. We make all of our decisions together. It's very few times that we split off into different rooms to make decisions. We come back and collectively and say, hey, what's good, what's not good, and work through those details. But he's an outstanding coach and excited for his opportunities here.
Dan, I was wondering with Will and Tosh, how do you sort of organize your time with them in terms of how much they're on Oregon, how much they're on their other jobs, and also how do you sort of refer to your own experience back at Georgia when you're kind of doing that in 2021?
Yeah, ultimately it's been when we're here at work, like our hours haven't changed, and when we're here, it's focused on Oregon, right? And then outside of that time is when you have the opportunity to work on things for your other opportunities.
What do you see from JMU's defensive line coming off of their 8-sack game against Troy?
Yeah, just extremely disruptive, and they do a great job creating one-on-ones, making it challenging where guys are going to have to win single blocks. They're going to have to win one-on-one blocks. ID and protections are difficult at times, too, with some of the looks that they present.
Coach, you guys had a big month in November, some big wins, even without some of your best players. Can you talk about just how valuable that has been for you guys as a team and just finding that momentum with the playoffs starting?
I think you always feel the pressure in moments when, especially when we had a hiccup early against Indiana, that we didn't have any room, to leave any indecision for anybody, afterwards. And our guys really approach that with each game, has a life of its own, and we have to go attack it, and we can do it in a variety of ways. And I think that's probably the biggest thing we showed is we can win in different ways. I think all 3 phases came together quite a bit in the last 4 games, where special teams were making big plays, defense or offense were making big plays for us that were certainly the difference.
Bear announced that he wants to return next year to this team. Just how have you kind of seen him grow throughout this season, and how big of an advantage is he going to be coming back next year?
Yeah, certainly not to next year yet, but excited about a guy like Bear that wants to come back. I think it shows a great deal of maturity on his part and how he's grown and developed into the player that we all knew he could be, and he's gotten better and better each week. Continue to see that growth for him, so excited about what that means for our future.
Now with the postseason, the redshirt rule allows anybody redshirting to play, Dan, but is it plausible for Makai?
Yeah, I think it's plausible for several of our players.
We're going to talk to a lot of players on the offense today. In your perspective, just from game 1 until now, what area has the offense just grown the most throughout the season?
Yeah, probably more than anything, self-inflicted wounds, and that's just, everybody being on the same page, all 11 guys doing their job. Something we grade every single game is our ability to execute our job, or at least do our job, right? It's not necessarily about you won the one-on-one, but you were where you're supposed to be. I think a lot of it starts when you can eliminate beating yourself, and you beat yourself when you have one guy doing something else.
You've certainly steered into the FIBU mantra for years, Dan. When the narrative nationally is the shoe's on the other foot, and how do you create an everybody of doubt where no one's speaking against you? The doubt would be, nationally speaking, more doubting than whether or not a G6 deserves to, 2 G6 teams deserve to be in a playoff. That's more of what the doubt is heading into a game.
Yeah, our standard's our standard, right? And you have to. This team wouldn't be here if they didn't play well all season, and they beat teams that had. You'd say on paper, okay, this team has talent, that can out-prepare this team. That's not the case with these guys. These guys have handled those moments this year and been able to perform really well. So you look. I watch the film and I see a really good team that's explosive, that has ability to create plays, but it's really ultimately for our team still going to be about us and our ability to execute.
Coach Lanning, his game week thoughts heading into James Madison and the college football playoff coming up on Saturday at 4:30 at Autzen Stadium. Coach Lanning brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Better cancer care close to home. Coach Lanning, a holistic approach through the last few weeks leading up to this college football playoff game. Coach Stein, on the same page, getting to talk to the offensive coordinator when we return after this. It's Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hi, Jan from Toyota with a holiday message. Toyota-thon, Toyota-thon, Toyota-thon is on.
Dealer inventory may vary. Toyota-thon ends January 5th. See your participating dealer for details. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hi, Jan from Toyota with a holiday message. Toyota-thon, Toyota-thon, Toyota-thon is on.
Dealer inventory may vary. Toyota-thon ends January 5th. See your participating dealer for details. Toyota, let's go places.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
If you build a relationship, then it becomes easier. If you build trust, it becomes easier. As a parent, you want what's best for your child. To give them the love that a child needs is probably the best you can do for a teenager.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
You say you never give in to a meltdown and never fill your feed with kid photos. You say you'd never put a pacifier in your mouth to clean it and never let them run wild through the grocery store. So when you say you'd never let them get into a car without you there, know it can happen. 1 in 4 hot car deaths happen when a kid gets into an unlocked car and can't get out. Never happens. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Inside the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Ryan Milano here with you on a Monday as we're now into college football playoff game week. James Madison, the opponent, coming in to Autzen Stadium at 4:30 on Saturday, televised on TNT, True TV, and HBO Max. A long way for James Madison to come in all the way from Virginia here to Eugene, but it should be a fun game. The first playoff game in Autzen Stadium, and Coach Lanning, we just heard from him, he's up for it. The coordinator on the offensive side, Will Stein, he's also up for it. It's given so much to this team. It's generated more opportunities for Coach Stein, but he is still rooted in the now with this team and the goal ahead for the rest of this 2025 season. Coach Stein and his reactions in the lead-up to the college football playoff against James Madison. Here's the offensive coordinator.
What have the past 2 weeks been like for you, and how impactful and how helpful has it been to have someone like Dan where you can pick his brain because he went through this a few years ago?
Yeah, it's been crazy, but really cool. Obviously, great opportunity for me and my family, but excited about what we're doing here in this next game. Excited about the opportunity to compete against James Madison, a really, really good team, and really just focus all my energy right now on the Ducks.
Probably take a long time to answer this, Will, but can you speak to like the adaptability that you've had to have this season, particularly the second half of the season? Because we talked before the year of like you're going to do more 12 and 21 regardless. All right, maybe not to the extreme you have, but you were. But when you got down at one point against SC to 3 receivers, and it's not just, well, you're running more, so you're passing less. There are fewer plays. There's pacing differences. There's personnel differences. How much of in preparation and in-game have you had to adapt, maybe more than at any point, not just here, but in your career?
Yeah, this has definitely been the most non-11 that I've done in my career. I was at Lake Travis. We kind of had the same personnel grouping out there the whole time, and we just morphed it into different looks. UTSA were heavy 11, had some 12. And then here, just this year especially, like you mentioned, it's been a lot of different, but that's why we practice so much. That's why we walk through so much in the winter, spring, summer. We build the plan out based on our personnel groupings first and how we see those kids fitting in each scheme. But we also make sure we practice the same plays at a different looks all week, just in case. And it's really played a big role to our success this year on offense. You think about some of these games, it's like 3% 11 personnel, 40% 21, and another 50-something percent 12. So it's been really cool, and I'm really proud of the team, really proud of the guys. They've just been adaptable, like you said. That's the key word. And they've attacked every single week, like it's a championship game.
I guess the follow-up here, and probably a dumb question, is, but how much would it help to have some of those receivers back, and kind of what would you'd like to see them kind of offer if they're available?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to be full strength going into this game, and I think those guys are working back and feel good about their prep up to this point to give us an opportunity to potentially see them in this next game. But we're willing to do whatever it takes, and if we got to play with 10 offensive linemen on the field and one quarterback, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out either way. But no, I'd love to have everybody back. Being a team full strength going into this game against James Madison would be very, very good for us.
Just heard a little bit recently just how much Dante has grown as a leader, and Dan was just saying that it's very obvious this just isn't just another game. What's the emotional messaging side of it? Like how do you talk to the offense and just the quarterback room in particular about how to handle a game like this?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a 60-minute game. It's not necessarily different in our prep. I think our coach Lanning's done a great job in how we've prepped up to this point, making this week truly like a game week for us in terms of our schedule. But our guys have never changed. They attack every single day in their prep. They practice with a sense of urgency. So I don't know if the messaging is different than any other game. It's definitely a win or go home. We all know that. And James Madison's an elite team, one of the best 12 in the country. So, our guys are really prepared right now, and they attacked last week with a sense of urgency, and they're doing the same this week. So I don't necessarily think it's a different message. It's just, continue to double down on our process, which has worked up to this point.
Hi, Coach. Listened to your podcast with Dan Casey the other night, and you talked pretty extensively in that about all the different kind of coaching trees you've come from. I'm curious in a follow up to some of the different personnel looks. Which branches of those trees do you really pluck for when you're looking to add to those playbooks? Get into some bigger personnel packages, two back stuff.
Probably really goes back to my high school days, to be honest. When I was a player for Bob Beatty at Trinity High School, and our offensive coordinator Andrew Coverdale was one of the best in the country. We were really multiple then in high school. We played in split backs. We did 12 personnel looks. We were under center. We were in the gun. We'd motion. We'd shift. We'd huddle, speed break. We did a lot of things in high school football, and that's why we won a lot of games, a lot of state championships. I think ever since then, it kind of just bled into my overall philosophy of how to play offense. It's not a bunch of new schemes. It's just how can we dress up our plays a million different ways out of different personnel groupings. Then when I played at Louisville, Sean Watson was a big West Coast guy where we get under center, I formations, and 12 and 21, another, multiple looks. And Bobby Petrino, same way, using backs. He was really good at using running backs in the past game. So, yeah, I've been really fortunate to work for guys and play for guys that were creative in their own sense and use their personnel to their advantage.
There's a lot of expectations with Dante going into this season, and it feels like he's maybe even exceeded it to the point where he's being talked about as maybe the number one pick. How do you feel like he's grown since day one of fall camp to now going into the playoffs? Just where have you seen that improvement? Because he wasn't viewed that way maybe at the start of the year.
I think Dante's grown in a lot of ways. I mean, obviously he's playing at a really high rate right now. He's operating the offense like you want. So I think that's the biggest thing, just operation, being able to take the huddle, call the play. Like, he's to a point now where I can just kind of start the play call and he knows what I'm about to call. And I think that's really cool for me to see. And it shows the confidence that he has in our system and being able to articulate it at the line of scrimmage or in a huddle, I think I've seen a lot of growth there. Protection checks, run checks, he's been really dialed in on that. And just kind of playing with a swagger out there, which is really cool. And I think that's really showing throughout our other, the rest of our skill guys in our offensive line. When Dante's on, when he's got that pep in his step, we're really hard to stop. So my goal to continue that with them this game and to start them off fast early on, and just keep the ball rolling.
Your offense has kind of played in a lot of different weather conditions, under a lot of pressure, and some of the toughest environments in college football, and been able to win in a variety of ways. What role do you think their composure will play in now the biggest game of the season?
Yeah, it's probably been the most unique season that I've ever had, with rain, with injuries, and but they've been composed from the get-go. And I credit really our offensive staff and Coach Lanning. I think we're composed as coaches. Like, we practice coaching as much as our players practice playing. I know that sounds kind of weird, but we play the game in our head. We play the game in our offensive staff room all the time. So we've already kind of set in our mind there's going to be issues in a game. There's going to be problems. No game is ever perfect. It's really how you handle those situations that makes, that's the difference between winning and losing. So I think we've done a really good job as a staff, just pressing pause, resetting our focus. All right, somebody's down. All right, what's the next plan? All right, get to the next play. Not worrying so much about the outcome, just focusing on our process. Like I mentioned, like Coach always says, double down. We just keep doubling down and just always coaching, always coaching. Again, credit to our offensive staff for that, and our players, I think, have really fed off our energy.
Coach, with some of these wide receivers hurt, we've seen some offensive creativity and guys step up. I want to ask you about the tight ends. What did you think about Kenyon and how he did, kind of getting flexed out wide, and then Jamari Johnson stepping up to deliver some big plays for you guys?
Yeah, Kenyon's, he's had I don't want to say a difficult year because he's made unbelievable plays, but he's obviously he's been banged up here and there. But really proud of his November has been really good, and he's practiced his butt off and done a really good job in games, making some huge plays for us. He's so versatile. You can line him up anywhere. I had a scout say to me about Kenyon, and it's so true. Like, wherever he lines up on the field, that's the position he looks like he's playing. I mean, receiver, tight end, running back, H-back, like, he fits the mold of wherever he's lined up. So, he's an exceptional player. One of the most talented guys I've ever been around, and just a great teammate, super humble, and has made, really good plays for us. And then Jamari Johnson, he's another guy that's going to be one of the best, I think, tight ends that ever come through here. That guy is a freak. He's doing everything we ask him to do. He's another guy you could probably throw him the ball about every time, but he's just accepted his role on this team. He's obviously our true Y, but he's a matchup nightmare for people. He's all 6'6", 250, got giant hands, catches the ball really well, and can block at the point of attack. So proud of that group. Even Roger's made some big plays and done a really good job in line for us as well. So Coach Maringer, credit to him for getting those guys ready to roll and those players for buying in.
Well, I just wondering how you've approached your time management and also delegation in these conservative dual roles here the last few days.
Yeah, it's not easy. Dan has done it before, so I'm leaning on him. Tosh is in it as well, so it is what it is. We are extremely focused on this game, number one, because this game is the most important thing for us right now, and we have to make sure that we are pouring into these players that have poured so much into this program here at Oregon. So that's really currently right now in this moment where my main focus is making sure that we have a great game plan for James Madison, who's a phenomenal team, especially defensively. Is the number one or number two defense in the country. The rush defense is stout. They have great players on that side of the ball. Their coordinator is really good. Their head coach is really good. And, they're dealing with some of the same things that maybe we are, but it's all noise. If you let it get to you, it could be an issue. I've chosen not to let it get to me and focus on the task at hand. And when I need to delegate to, University of Kentucky, I do that. But when I'm here at Oregon in the building, all focus is on the Ducks and winning this first playoff game.
I'm going to ask, what's it like going through this process with Tosh, kind of going through the same thing? Does that make it easier for you? And, it's not always common for coaches to stay on, when they get hired somewhere else. What was it about this team that kind of made you want to do that and choose this path?
I mean, I wouldn't be in the position I am without these players, without these coaches, without Dan. I mean, I would feel like a complete fraud if I left these guys throughout this playoff run and this opportunity in front of us to coach in Autzen another time. I mean, it'd honestly be crazy. And Tosh is the same way. I mean, we've poured so much of our lives, so much of our time, our family's time into this team and this program. Coach Lanning gave me an opportunity from UTSA. The last thing I would ever do would be to leave these players. So that's number one. But yeah, it's obviously unique with me and Tosh and what's ahead for us. But I know he's in the same mindset as me, taking care of business here in Autzen one last time and putting our best foot forward with this group of guys.
Will Stein focused on the task at hand for Oregon football ahead of this matchup against James Madison on Saturday, 4:30 p.m. College football playoff at Autzen Stadium. That's Will Stein, brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center, Better Cancer Care, close to home, getting prepared for a win-or-go-home environment in Autzen Stadium. Kind of felt that way for men's basketball over the weekend as well. The men got a win and looked really good in the process. A big victory, a back-on-track victory for Oregon basketball. Hearing the post-game thoughts for Dana Altman, breaking it all down when we return after this on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
When life blindsides you with an injury, you need a team that's tough. For over 30 years, Morgan & Morgan has been fighting for the people. This season, we're proud to partner with Oregon Athletics. Because whether it's on the field or in the courtroom, we're both determined to do what it takes to win. Morgan & Morgan, proud partner of Oregon Athletics. Injured? Dial pound law. Morgan & Morgan, 10150 Southwest 6th Avenue, Portland. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Let's take a moment to breathe. Deep inhale. Extend your spine. Remain focused on what you're doing. If safe to do so, exhale slowly, leaning to one side. Inhale back to center. If safe to do so, exhale slowly to the opposite side. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org. This message is brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Put your phone on D&D. That means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always sing with me. So put your phone on D&D. That means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always remember this beat.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
I'm coming home to the place that I remember, back to the land of my first love. Would you spread wide your arms for this wayward son? I left my heart in Oregon.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, it's Second Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Ryan Milano here with you, not only previewing Oregon football and their matchup in the college football playoff coming up in Autzen on Saturday against James Madison, but also breaking down the weekend action on the hardwood for both Oregon men's and women's basketball. We'll start with the men because it was an impactful game for Oregon on the men's side of things against UC Davis. 104-62, the win for Oregon in a decisive victory for the Ducks. 52-16, the first half differential for Oregon. It felt like the Ducks, that week off, finals week, was big for Oregon. Came out, felt like the team that we've been expecting from Oregon all year long. And I got to tell you, they looked good. The Kamikaze Kids throwback uniforms, the green and yellow piping around the side on the trim of the jerseys, looked awesome. and played well too. Jackson Shelstad led the way, 21 points on 7 of 13 from the field. He had 9 assists as well. Takai Simpkins, he had 18 points. Kwame Evans Jr., 14 and 13, a double-double. Ege Demir, a double-double for him with 15 and 11, a complete game for Oregon. The Ducks, they shot better than UC Davis, 61% to 35%. Oregon turned UC Davis over more, scored in transition more, 24 to 14 points off of turnovers. The Ducks controlled the boards, 43 rebounds to 21 for UC Davis. This was a game in which Oregon felt like they returned to form. A big win for Oregon, 104 to 62 in that first half, 52 to 16 the differential. Critical. You score 100 points in a college basketball game, you're doing something right. Sure, second half, you still outscore UC Davis, but you do give up 46 points. Defensive effort in the second half needs to be better. But when you stack it off of that first half effort, I think Dana Altman pleased with the way his team progressed over the off week, the finals week into this game, looking to build on this performance against UC Davis. Post-game reactions from Coach Altman after the victory.
Beyond snapping the losing streak, Dana, just to get 100 when Nate only has 7 minutes in the first half, what does that do psychologically for the room?
No, I think it helps the other guys. Some other guys got to play a little bit more, and I thought our ball movement was better, so we got better shots. I think it really helped. Just getting guys on the floor and moving the ball. Other than that one stretch where you just exchange baskets, and I think they scored 10 or 11 times in a row. Other than that stretch, I thought we played really hard and did some really good things, but we broke down defensively there a number of times in that little stretch there. We were just so happy we were scoring that, we didn't guard very well. But other than that stretch, I thought we played pretty hard, pretty active, played with more energy, which was good to see.
You talked about earlier this week, I believe, it was talking about the guys making sacrifices on the court on things that need to be done. It felt like we saw that at times, Kwame diving for the ball on the court, teams, players playing a little bit better defensively. Did you see more of that today, and what can that do, showing that the vision of what you had imagined?
No, the guys played pretty hard, and their activity. I thought the first half, our communication was a lot better. Second half, I'm not sure it was as good. I'll have to watch the film. It just looked like we made a lot more mistakes than we did the first half. But no, I liked our activity. 22 assists, 12 turnovers. We'd like to see that every game. So all in all, a lot of positives. We didn't shoot free throws well the second half, but we shot them, really well the first half. So still got to keep working at that free throw line.
Seems like almost a broken record at this point, but Kwame's energy and activity just kind of maybe is the engine for this team?
Well, he just needs to rebound, and he gets us, he got 13 rebounds, and that gets him going. I think he had 10 at half, so when he's rebounding, he's involved. We found that out the last 2 years, that when he's going to the boards and rebounding the ball, he gets involved. And if he doesn't, he's just kind of standing there watching the game. And we need him to be really involved in the game like he was tonight.
How do you evaluate Ezekiel's performance?
Well, I thought he did a lot of good things, just slowing down and catching the ball and slowing down on some of his finishes. Defensively, he did some good things, and then some other times he was way out of position. So he's got to watch the film and be able to, cover more ground defensively. But no, I thought he made a big step. I finished some plays inside, got 11 rebounds, double-double. So did some really good things.
Obviously, after I think he went out, I don't recall him seeing going back on the court. Was that just more the way the game was?
Yeah, no, he wasn't moving very good, and that ankle's still bothering him a little bit. He didn't practice much this week, and you could tell it was still, bothering his movement. He says it's not painful, it's just stiff, and he doesn't have the power off of it. So, there was no sense taking chance second half with it. Just give him some time here, and we'll give him some time tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, and hopefully he'll be able to play more on Wednesday.
Jackson Snow had 8 assists, 8 assists, 9 assists this season. What can you say about his ability to distribute the ball and maybe focusing on that a little bit more this season?
Well, we need him to do that. When he's making plays, everybody makes plays. If he takes some questionable shots, it kind of gets the ball rolling for everybody. He's got the ball in his hands, and we want the ball in his hands. And so when he sets the tone making plays for others, it carries over to everybody. So, no, I think the reason we had 22 is because he got the ball moving. He had 9, and he set a great tone for us there.
Talk about trying to get way more time on the court. I'm sure he had moments he probably played good, moments he probably struggled, but how valuable is just 21 minutes for him to get the flow of the American game? Well,
it's important. We can't break him of the habit of trying to make a play every time he touches it. He's aggressive and, wants to make a play. His 2 baskets were after we moved it, and he had shots, and again, it's been a work in progress. It's been frustrating for him. It's been really frustrating for our staff. We can't have him taking quick shots and bad shots, and that's why his percentages aren't any good. They're just quick and a lot of bad shots. When he takes good ones, he had a couple days in practice where, he didn't shoot it until late in the shot clock and, wide open shots. And, one day he went 7 for 8 from 3, and, none of them were quick. They were all after we hit 3 sides, and the ball movement was good, and somebody had set a pick for him, you get a good look, but he just gets really impatient and, wants to shoot it every time he gets it or make a play, and, he's just got to slow down a little bit.
Has the communication there been an issue at all?
Sure has. No, he just understanding our terminology and the flow of the game. It has been, and again, the league they play in China, it's not a defensive league. It's 130 to 120. Whoever can get the most shots up, and so it's not the way we play here. You can't play here that way. So that's been a little adjustment for him too. But he's a really good kid, and he wants to do the right things. He's having a hard time breaking some habits.
That's Coach Dana Altman post a 104-62 victory for Oregon on Saturday at Matthew Knight Arena. Joey Macri joining us. Joey, it felt like we talked about here on this show on Monday that the finals week for Oregon, getting that little bit of a break before this game against UC Davis, could be key.
Yeah.
Felt like in the first half, when you outscore your opponent 52-16, it means you're executing offensively, and defensively you're connected. It felt like that off stretch for Oregon came in handy in the first half, especially this game.
I agree. I think it was a step forward, certainly. And it's interesting. Coach Altman and I were talking pregame that the week of practice during finals week really didn't go as smoothly as he wanted. KJ Evans was still ill. Nate Biddle's ankle still bothering him. He only ended up playing 7 minutes in the game, as you were talking about and Coach alluded to. But the fact is, Oregon still righted the ship in some of those categories. And, Coach Altman's always going to say that there's room for improvement. But apart from that stretch where they just traded baskets, it was pretty impressive. A much better performance. I think starting quick really helped. When you get out to a 16-0 lead, you're doing something right. But also, it was nice just to see some shots go in, wasn't it? Takai Simpkins was in rhythm. Jackson Shellstad was in rhythm. And everyone's like, wow, Jackson Shellstad. A lot of people have asked me this. Like, why are his three-point shooting numbers down? Well, he didn't shoot a basketball for 6 weeks, right? It didn't surprise me that it took a little bit for that offensive rhythm for Jackson Shellstad to come back. Similar with Nate Biddle. He went 0 of 10 from the floor against UCLA playing on a bad ankle. If this team can get healthy and find that rhythm like they did in this game, yeah, they're going to be the team, you said it, that we thought they were going into the season.
Well, and it's been one of those seasons where Oregon hasn't had everybody healthy at the same time throughout the course of this year, but there's a few keys that Dana Altman will always tell you is important to win college basketball games. Do you win the rebounding battle? Oregon won the rebounding battle. Kwame Evans is always involved when he's rebounding. You just heard Coach Altman say it.
Yep.
Do you hold your opponent under 70 points? Or is your defensive intensity there? It's about the rebounding and the defense, and the offense will come. And the offense came for Oregon because the Ducks dominated off of turnovers. They outscored UC Davis by 10 off of turnovers, and they dominated on the boards where they out-rebounded UC Davis 43-21. Those two things for me is where I look at it and say the defensive connectivity was there, the hustle on the boards was there, and then the offense came as a result.
I agree, and I think Coach Altman has often said that you're going to shoot the lights out in 10 games. You're going to shoot average in 10 games. And you're not going to shoot worth a darn in 10 games. You figure you play 30 games in the season. That's why you hear, like, defense travels. Good teams play defense. Coach Altman really lives by that. Now, here's hoping that the 10 where you don't shoot it worth a darn, the Ducks have checked a few of those off already this season because the offensive rhythm has been a struggle. I mean, coming into last weekend, Oregon was tied for the worst field goal percentage among Power 4 teams in the country. That changed in this game. They already ticked up a few spots just in the Big Ten standings heading into the matchup with Portland on Wednesday.
The defense, key for Oregon men's basketball in their victory on Saturday. It was key for the women in their victory on Sunday at MKA. Breaking down the women and their victory this weekend when we return on Duck Inside on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
When I met both of them, it was like my missing pieces were found. Like it was just like an instant, these are my kids. If you're considering adopting a teen, just do it. Kids need families. I don't care the age, everybody deserves a family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
My name is Teresa Barber. I was in the United States Navy, and I served overseas in the Middle East and Africa. Early on in my career, I had a commander that taught our suicide prevention training, and the very next day, he took his own life. 90% of suicide attempts involving a gun are fatal. My way of continuing my service is to help protect my community by being a responsible gun owner and by storing firearms safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
You know you make me wanna kick my heels up and throw my hands up and throw my head back and come on now. Don't forget to say you will. Don't forget to say yeah.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, Duck Insider brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Ryan Milano here with you on a Monday, breaking down the hoops on the hardwood over the weekend, where the men got a big victory over UC Davis, the women a big victory over Montana State, 69-44 in a defensive masterclass from Oregon women's basketball. The final separation was 25 points. It was a little bit bigger than that. The final score actually a little bit closer than this game actually was. The Ducks were up by 36 with 4 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. Granted, Montana State, great run to close the game. Kelly Graves, wish you probably would have finished the game stronger, but happy with the effort because Oregon didn't shoot the ball very well, only 33% from the field. But the Ducks held Montana State to 29% and 5% from three. Montana State shot 1 for 19 from beyond the arc, a complete team effort. Oregon had 4 women in double figures, a double-double for Mia Jacobs. The Ducks were in rhythm on Sunday to get their victory against Montana State. Post-game reactions from Coach Kelly Graves.
Number 33's mom played for me, and it was great to catch up with her. And then one of my coaching mentors, really mentors. Jim Sollers, longtime coach of Portland, was here, right behind our bench. So, Mr. Glass half full. He was very positive. I was realistic. He was positive. So, anyway, it was a good win. You know, it was a little up and down. We weren't at our best all the time, but I thought defensively that first half, you guys who played really, really well and took them out of pretty much everything they were trying to run. They're a good team. They're a good team. They're going to win the Big Sky. They're going to get to the NCAA tournament. She's got a great group. But I thought we did an excellent job on their two leading scorers tonight, number 44, Cherrick, and then Addie Harris. So I'm proud of the effort.
Did you feel like that pressure affected you in the opening minutes, and then did you feel like hitting a couple threes just really opened things up?
Yeah. It takes a little while, you know, against that kind of pressure, and they play really hard. I mean, they play hard and they're scrappy, and we didn't handle that all that well, you know. But it's still a big spread at halftime, and quite frankly, if we'd have made half of our uncontested layups, it could have been even, you know, maybe 10 or 15 points more. But we didn't particularly shoot it from the three well, certainly at the end. But we got to just do a better job of finishing around the rim.
How does playing a team that maybe gets up in you like that and maybe prepare you for conference play where you're going to see a little bit more of that?
Well, it does. You know, we're just going to they're going to be just a little bit bigger and stronger and better. But we don't see that a ton, you know. Ohio State will do it. Some of the other teams do it from time to time, but it's not who they are. So, but that's why I'm glad we play this way. And Portland's going to play the same way. So this will be good preparation for, is it Thursday's game or Friday? Thursday's game. Okay?
You talked earlier this week about how you wanted other guards to step up, and Ari had that 10 points in the first few bit of the third quarter, and Sophia had 15 points, hit shots. What did you see from the two of them?
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, if we get that kind of production from those two wings, that makes us a lot better. Katie, you know, was just a little off tonight, not necessarily her best, and that's fine. You know, that's fine. She's going to have games like that, but it's great for Sophia and Ari to take up the slack a little bit.
What specifically about what Ari was doing, I guess, in that first stretch was key to her success?
Yeah, in the second half you're talking about? Well, she shot both of them with great confidence. They were both right in front of me, and you know, you knew it as soon as they left. And you know, she struggles with her confidence from time to time, you know, like everybody does. And to see those go in like that, it just kind of energizes a person. So I'm really happy for her. Nobody works harder. Nobody spends more time in the gym than she does.
Defense translates, and for both Oregon women's basketball and Oregon men's basketball, the defense this weekend translated to 2 victories on the court, as Oregon women's basketball now 11-1 in the early portion of the season as they continue to move forward into the end of 2025, into the start of 2026, where conference play and the meat of conference play is right around the corner. Still a lot to talk about, breaking down the rest of the week ahead when we return on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
We know you turn to the Duck Store for all your game day needs. And for students at the University of Oregon, it's even more. Class supplies, jobs, a seat on our board, a place to take a quick coffee break. Because we're your student-first, non-profit college store, every purchase you make directly supports the very community we serve. From working at our counters to studying in the classroom, from directing our stores to cheering in the stands, the people we serve, the students, are the very people who are the Duck Store.
Back to the Country Financial Studios in 60 seconds. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
This message is for Shauna, my mom, who just finished her high school diploma. I wanted to say I'm so proud of you for finishing school. You told me it's never too late to achieve your dreams. I hope to make you as proud as you have made me.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
act like that. Don't wear that. Don't think that. I've heard everything you tell yourself every time you felt different. And I want you to know that you can be vulnerable and powerful. That taking care of your mind is taking care of everyone you love and who loves you. Love your mind. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, Ryan Milano, Joey Mack closing out the show. Duck Insider with you, getting you prepared for Oregon's college football playoff game this Saturday against James Madison at Autzen Stadium at 4:30. TNT, True TV, HBO Max is where you can watch. There are some other sports that will be in action before Oregon faces off against James Madison, and it's time to get familiar with the Portland Pilots. Both the men and the women play Portland at Matthew Knight Arena this week. It's a late tip-off on Wednesday for the men at 6 o'clock. At 8 o'clock rather, on Wednesday, and then an 11 a.m. tip-off for the women on Thursday. Bring your sleeping bag, Matthew Knight Arena. Just stay overnight. I don't think facilities will actually let you do that, but it'll be a quick turnaround.
Look, it's field trip day on Thursday. I'm excited about that.
I think it'll be a lot of fun.
I know we were talking about this last week with Val Johnson, the administrator for Oregon women's basketball. And certainly there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of logistics. I love it, though. I love the fact that you play a game at 11 a.m., enjoy college basketball for field trip day. I'm in. I am so excited to be at Matthew Knight Arena on Thursday.
8 o'clock with the Night Owls on Wednesday, 11 a.m. with the Children on Thursday. And for men's basketball against Portland, I do just want to remind everybody about the last time Oregon played Portland. Last season was a bit of a wake-up call for the Ducks. It took overtime for Oregon to beat Portland last year. Felt like that was a big game for Oregon in the early portion of their season.
Keyshawn Bartholomew, we appreciate your efforts in that game, sir.
Who will be the Keyshawn Bartholomew this year? Great question, going up against Portland throughout the rest of the week. Also tomorrow, Joey will have you. Tosh Lupoy will meet with the media. Lisa Peterson for Athletic Director Tuesday, and a bunch of Oregon football student athletes. Getting you prepared for Saturday against James Madison. See ya, go Ducks.
I'm a pretty great multitasker. I can wash dishes and do laundry. I can roller skate while walking my dog. I can even order lunch while doing my homework. But I can't use my phone while driving. A distracted driver is one of the leading causes of death in the United States. So when it comes to driving, please,